Welcome to PKC This Week. Where we talk all things professional kennel club. Found only on Cane Stream Media. Brought to you by Elite Nutrition, Joy Dog Food, and the Professional Kennel Club. Now, let's start the show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for another tree dog. Oh, I'm sorry, tree dog. This is what I said tree dog too. We're PKC this week. This is how I know I'm doing too much. I got too many intros. But we are here PKC this week, and we've got an extra guest this week. Me and Shane are here as per usual, and then we are also joined by Wade Grashwitz, owner of Joy Dog Food. And the reason Wade is joining us is because we are talking the 2025 Youth National Championship in PKC. That is to be held at Paducah, Kentucky here in just a couple weeks, June 11th through the 14th. So Joy being the title sponsor for Youth Nationals, and of course, with Youth Nationals coming up, I thought we'd just talk about a little bit about the kids this week. And so, Shane, we'll start with you. Just tell us about Youth Nationals, how it came about, all that good stuff, and what the hunt consists of, what the hunters need to do, the kids need to do to get there, and all that stuff.
Okay. Um, Youth Nationals was a brainstorm of a lot of people. Jed Finley was involved in the foundation of the first one. Obviously, Joy Dog Food was. Obviously, the PKC Youth Committee was a big driver behind it. Steve Yant actually had a little hand in it. Of course, like I said, you guys wanted to give the kids their own nationals. We got the big world for the adults. So we wanted to give the kids the world and the nationals, just like we got the adults world and nationals. So kind of sit down and started going through what we needed to do, how we needed to break it down, how we need to set it up. And like I said, it was a committee of a bunch of people
Mm-hmm.
who came up with this format. We actually had qualifying when the very first one we had no qualifying open to everybody. And then we had some qualifying parameters set up for a year. And it just didn't work like we wanted it to. So we went back to it's open to any youth.
Yeah.
And I think it works better that way. Especially coming out of the school year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's kind of hard for some of those kids from October to May, school every night, ball,
Yeah.
sports, all that stuff. So we dropped the requirement for qualification. Hey, if you can make it, come on out. We'll take you and give you a chance.
As a parent to two hunters that are playing softball and basketball right now, and just now
Absolutely.
got back into hunting, that is a godsend because I do
Yes.
not have time to take my two kids to open events long enough, especially with the dogs, the sorry dogs that we got that can't win nothing anyway, to get $100 one or whatever the requirement would be for youth national. So yeah, I think that was definitely a good call, dropping the $100 requirement or
Yes.
250 or whatever it was.
So once we did that, and now it's an annual event down at Paducah. They do a good job down there. The facilities are great. Couldn't ask for anything more. They nice building, plenty of parking. Of course, the hunting, some of the best around
Yep.
Western Kentucky's. It's obviously got good hunting, especially around Paducah. It's some of
Yep.
the best. Um, Steve Yant, Brantley Berry, Ryan Buchanan, Wade Buchanan, all that base down there does a heck of a job putting on the youth nationals, and that's a chore. I know
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you that's a chore to do. You got 50, 60, 70 kids a night. non-hunting judges for each one of them. Got to have a guide for each one of them. So there's some work put in by those guys, and it is appreciated, and it shows the event's grown each year, from work from Black Joy and those guys down there who are working their tails off. That's what's made it grow.
And it's a good paying event too. I know the first year he got in the finals, he got third. I think he ended up with $2,000. He got to take home to put towards a truck and
Yes, that's
all
right.
that
That's right.
stuff that kids need. You know, it's hard for a kid to make $2,000 in the summer when they're 12, 13, 14 years old. And
Absolutely.
that's for getting third place. But I'm looking
Yep.
at the flyer now. First place is going to pay 6,000.
Yep.
Fourth is second. Third place is 3,000, and fourth place is 1,500, depending on entries. If there is a fourth place, it might be a
Sure.
final three. But one of the better paying youth hunts, and not only that, on a $100 entry fee or 125 if you
No
don't have
reserve.
a
Hmm.
reservation and you re-enter and all that stuff.
Sure.
What better payout for even an
Oh,
adult? You know,
exactly.
you win three casts, four casts, and all of a sudden you've made a pretty good chunk of change on that too.
Well, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt that if this was an adult hunt, we'd have it full in no time. I
We
mean,
would
adults
not
would be
have
there.
enough
So,
non-hunting judges,
no,
I could promise you that.
exactly, exactly. I mean, $100 to win 6,000's a pretty good. And it's not only about the money, which I realize that helps for sure. Um, those kids get down there. I know last year you filmed I think it was a football game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they have a good time. They really
Yeah.
do have a good time. They come down there. It's a mini vacation. They got 3 or 4 days with kids their age, buddies they've hunted
Yeah.
with, might not have seen since the Youth World last year. And it's a good event. It really is. The kids really seem to enjoy it, and the parents go above and beyond to get their
Yeah.
kids there and support them, and we appreciate that.
Well, you think of the kids that are there, on the regular, every year, and it's Tim and Lee Atkins all the way from
Yes.
Louisiana, West Virginia, Ohio, North Carolina, all the way as far out as Nebraska, northern Iowa. There's a lot of people that make a big trip out there, just for that specific event. And the parents do such a good job, and the guardians and the brothers and the sisters and the uncles and the other hunters of even getting the kids out there to the hunt.
Absolutely. They did an excellent job because that's like you said, we're talking hours and hours and hours and hours
Yeah.
on the road. So we appreciate the parents. Without them, the youth events don't happen. I mean,
Yep.
that's just the bottom line.
And when we talk about the payout and when we talk about the sponsorship and stuff, of course, we got to talk about Wade Grashwitz and Joy Dog Food. But Wade, when you first got presented with helping with youth nationals, what were your thoughts? What was your reasoning behind it and giving the go ahead and on all that stuff?
Well, I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened. If I recall correctly, RD called me on the phone and was like, "Hey, um, would you be interested in sponsoring the Youth World and the Youth Nationals?" I was like, "Sure. What do I need to do?" And he went through all the steps, and you know, um, Joey had it for years and years and years. And I didn't own it when they dropped it. Um, Somebody else did, but anyway, we were glad to have the chance to get our foot back in the door, um, not only with the youth but with the PKC, because it's a big event probably the biggest event for the kids that I'm aware of. I mean, is there anything else any bigger for the youth out there?
You look at the Youth World's got more entries probably. What Youth World's 80 to 90 entries usually a night, Shane,
Yeah,
on
yeah,
average last year, I think,
yep,
sometimes over 100.
yeah.
But it's
Those-
the only standalone youth event where it's
Right,
there's no other hunts going on. There's all that stuff too. So, it's probably the second biggest youth event
right,
PKC has for sure.
yeah. No, so we were glad to get our foot back in the door, and like this year, of course, on Friday we're gonna be down there on Wednesday. My son Scott will be there on Wednesday and Thursday. We're gonna set up a tent outside. We're gonna try to squeeze a booth on the inside. Um, I'll be down there all day Friday. I'll have the marketing gal down there too, taking pictures, doing interviews. But everybody gets a bag of dog food. We've ordered water bottles with the Joy logo on there to give away. And then, of course, the final four get some more. I get another bag of dog food. Of course, we're going to have some hats and some T-shirts and stuff like that to give away as well. So, um, yeah, and like Shane said, we love that venue. It's
Yeah.
it's a perfect spot. It really is perfect spot. I was on the phone with Steve Yant 2 or 3 times this week already, kind of making preparations and stuff. And I'm gonna bring some extra Joey T-shirts down there for some adults too. So that's kind of helping us with the hunt. So, but no, we're looking forward to it. And I know Kane Stream is going to do the final cast,
You bet.
and we're gonna do Saturday, all day Saturday. We're gonna do Friday. Well, you're gonna be hunting, aren't you? So you won't.
Yep.
Friday night you'll be hunting. So, but no, with Friday will be all the interviews and the dogs. So whoever's there on Friday night will get a free bag of dog food. So if you
Okay.
qualify Wednesday or qualify Thursday, make sure you let us know. You're not there Friday, make sure you let us know so we get you a bag of dog food.
No, it's going to be fun. Joy has always been synonymous with the PKC Youth World Championship and a lot of PKC youth events. It's good to see Joy back there. You still see the old Joy pictures, you see the kids with the Joy coats and the youth world, and you see, the previous Joy owners out there shaking hands and doing all that cool stuff. And you look at some of those pictures, and it's Scotty Engel, and it's Ryan Krausen, and it's
Mhm.
Rusty Jones, and it's guys that are still out here winning big today, that were part of that youth program, that Joy helped along with PKC for years. So it's just really cool to see PKC and Joy come together for youth events like this. So, I mean, kudos to both of you.
Yeah, no, we're tickled to death to be associated with the whole thing. So we're already making preparations to be down there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So we will be there.
All right, Wade, we appreciate you joining us. Appreciate everything you've done for the youth and PKC and coon hunters in general, and this show and all that stuff. So, yeah, unless you got anything to add, me and Shane will get into some boring rules conversation.
Okay, I'll jump off there and let you guys at it.
All
Thank
right,
you,
You guys
thank
Wade.
have
you,
a
Wade.
good rest of
Appreciate
the
it.
day. Thanks, guys.
You bet. All right, Shane, let's get into one of my least favorite rule topics that we can do, and that is the option.
Okay.
So
Well,
the option is, hold on a second, let me stop Wade's video. I know Wade's just of the generation where he thinks if you close his laptop, everything's good.
understand.
There we go. All right. And so the option, and it's known as the option rule. I actually pulled it up. Here's how ignorant I am. Is I actually pulled the stupid thing up and looked at it. I'm like, well, that ain't exactly how that ain't how that works. And so let me
Well,
get back over here. It is
before you
under,
read it,
yes, I will read it. It is under
oh,
7. It is Rule 7L, going out of hearing of trailing dogs to score tree. Rule 7L reads, when a cast walks out of hearing of trailing dogs to score a tree, the cast should return to the area where the dog or dogs were last heard. If dog or dogs are not heard within 6 minutes, points will be deleted and
correct.
the timeout rule applied, or the handlers may receive minus strike points and continue the cast at their
Their
option.
option. That's right.
Yes, so that is
That's
where it
right.
comes in with the option
The
rule. If handlers with struck dogs are unable to reach a unanimous decision, timeout will be called. If dogs trail away from the cast, this rule does not apply. That's not if dogs just blow out,
yeah,
completely.
yeah.
But this is only when you walk away from struck dogs to go score another tree. This is the
That's right.
only rule that time's ever, or only time that rule's ever going to be applied, right?
Correct. And it is done wrong 99.9% of the time.
I realize that now that I finally read the rule.
Because everybody thinks the option is to call timeout and delete the strike and go. They got an hour to catch their dogs.
Yeah.
Everybody has that's been ingrained that is the option. That's not true. The option is take your minus and keep hunting.
Yes.
What is the proper procedure is the 6 you've walked away from the trailing dog, you've scored that dog, you've came back, you've got the 6 working on the dog you've walked away from. When that six expires, the six catches him. You are to immediately call timeout,
Mm-hmm.
delete that strike, and they've got an hour to catch their dogs. Now, obviously, before we get to that 6 minute mark, you're the judge. Hey, are you going to take your option or what are we doing? And if they take their option and continue hunting, they take their minus and go on. But that's the biggest misconstrued misconception there
Yes.
is. The option is taking your minus and continue hunting. The
Yeah.
option is
I
not.
did not know until I read that you have the option to take your minus. You don't have the option to call timeout.
That's you don't have that option because that's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
What's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Now, I realize it's done wrong a lot of the time. In the end,
The end
the
result's still
result
the same.
is the same.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, the procedure is not done correctly a lot, but in the end, they get to the correct result, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
Either timeouts called and strikes deleted or they take their minus and hunting. But people definitely get that completely swapped. The option is continue hunting. The option is not call timeout. Call timeout is what's going to happen.
Another thing that ties into that rule is, we all know you walk away from a trailing dog to go score a tree. You do not start the six until you get back to the last place you heard that dog.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it is, say there were three dogs that you had to score and there's one dog at large. It's just one handler. You walk in there, you get to the last place you heard that dog. You start that six. That is his six. He can walk,
Mm-hmm.
but he can't just walk looking at his Garmin at the direction his dog is.
Sure.
As a non-hunting judge, I always score it as, Garmin cannot be scored in scoring situations, used in scoring situations. I view that as a scoring situation. The only way you can walk is the last place I heard your dog.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can't, if your dog wheeled around 3 miles the other opposite direction, I'm not just going to follow you with your Garmin towards
Yeah.
that dog. I'm going to say
Yep.
last place I heard him was that way.
We
That's
can
the way
walk.
we can walk. You can walk that way or you can stand right here for 6 minutes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. And they can walk, if they choose to walk the direction, that's perfectly fine. But going back to the option, it doesn't matter what happens when that six is done and it's caught you, timeout, delete the
Delete.
strike, and go on. Now, again, if you use your option, we're going to continue hunting and you're going to take your
Well,
minus.
it's another thing that a lot of hunters don't understand this rule and don't use it to their advantage near enough.
Sure,
A
sure.
lot of them will just they don't because it's ingrained in them that once a six catches them, they're going to eat their minus.
Mm-hmm.
They just eat their minus.
Yep.
I mean, they don't. I'll say, hey, I don't want to take my option. I want to call
Yeah,
timeout, get a handler, get my dog. Say it's a close hunt
exactly.
with 10
You
minutes
know,
left, 5 minutes left, something like that. You can get the dogs gathered up, recut, and maybe do some damage in the last 5 minutes of a cast and win that thing.
it's very true. The thing that in a cast, the six doesn't get dogs very often,
No.
as we well know. And I feel like that's even less now than maybe 5 or 10 years ago. So while people don't use it very often, the chance to use it is not there a whole lot anymore because most of the time, even if we've walked away from you and we walk back to the last place we heard you, there's another dog there somewhere. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm not, I realize three dogs can be on a lead and one out every once in a while, but most of the time, something is going to break that six, and you're not going to have the option to do anything but continue hunting. So I think that's one reason why it's not used a whole lot is the situation doesn't arise a whole lot where the six gets anybody.
Yeah.
So there's no, the six has got to get them before anything can happen, and it never happens. So I
Talking
think that
about, if there are two or three dogs at large and the six runs out, um, one handler wants to take his option and continue hunting. Two handlers say no, we're
you
going to
take
call timeout.
they got the option. That's why it's an option.
Yeah.
No,
But
it's my option. It's
it
your
has to
option. It's
it
his
has to
option.
be unanimous, correct?
Correct.
Yep. Okay, so it just takes one person
Yep.
to say, hey, no
Yep.
option, call
Yep.
timeout, and then you got an hour to go catch your dogs, all three of you.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Yeah. But
enlightening.
it's the most
Oh
misconstrued
yeah.
rule there ever was. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I agree. I was reading it and I'm like, now wait a minute. That don't read right. And I read it again.
And
I'm like, this is why Jerry keeps telling me to read this thing.
and And like I said, it's misused, but in the end, they get the exact
Yeah,
same
the
result.
result is usually the
They
same.
just do it backwards, really. That's
Yes.
what it amounts
But
to.
I think that um I do think that handlers get minus more often than they should, when this does happen because they don't realize that the default. Because
Exactly.
I've judged these 1,000 times, six catches them, six catches.
Yeah.
I've walked away from dogs. I don't know, maybe 10 times in my life. I'm like, oh,
Well,
six got you. Man, that
next
sucks.
next
You know,
time it happens, next time that
the
happens, you
six, yeah, but they didn't take their option and I still minus them. That happens quite a bit actually.
well, next time it happens, you can question yourself and bring it in. We'll let
I
you.
will. That's what I'll do. I'll put a question on the card. Who's got the question? I do.
Oh gosh.
Hey, guess what, Shane?
What's that?
I won a cast again last night.
Well, I'll have to investigate that. Where was that
Yes,
at?
yeah, I actually was there. We didn't just doctor the paperwork. But I was going to tell you, I went up to Milton, Iowa with the kids last night, getting ready for Youth Nationals. I wanted
Mhm.
Tree to walk along with Ralph. She's only handled in one cast in her life and hasn't done so since last summer. Jace was hunting Raven, and there were 14 dogs at Milton, Iowa on a
Wow,
Tuesday night.
that's pretty
Danny
good.
Perez was there. Zach McBee was there with Bonnie. I mean, Winnie was in my cast with Cladrick Proctor, some really good dogs. Of course, Mike
Like a World
Fields and
Hunt
Christine.
Finals instead of a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was impressed. I pulled up there and I said, well, we'll have enough to make a cast with us two. If Mike and Christine are there, if Zach don't show up, we'll probably have two casts. I went up there and there were four.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, that's a strong club up there in Milton. That's a
Yeah,
good club. Those are Mike, Chrissy, good people. They do a good job up there. Really
they
good
do.
job.
And so what is coming up this week? I know we have the
We got the truck hunt.
truck hunt this weekend.
Yep, that's the.
That is going to be at Newton. Of course, Kane Stream going to be there covering that
Yep,
right here.
yep.
That's always a good hunt there at the Muddy, so we're looking forward to that for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And um, there's a bunch of other smaller pro classics going on this weekend. We got the $100,000 hunt in Junction. You'll see an ad on it later today. They go on sale next week.
Yep.
It's the last weekend in June, so that's coming up. Youth Nationals, all kinds of events coming up in June. June's jam packed, but the premiere this weekend is the Newton truck hunt. Uh, Plenty of people looking for entries. If anybody wants to sell, I'm sure you
Yeah,
can do it
no
pretty
kidding,
quick.
man. I
So,
see 20 posts a day on
yeah,
Facebook looking for an
yeah,
entry, looking for an
but
entry.
plenty of
Duel was even
people.
offering to pay $500 over the entry
I
price.
saw that. I saw him put that on there. So yeah, we should be a good weekend and go go visit a PKC club somewhere this weekend.
All right, Shane, we appreciate you. We'll see you up there this weekend, and thanks for doing this. And yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Thank you, bud. Appreciate
All right,
it.
see you, Shane.
See ya.